Kanta, are you feeling okay?
Are you okay? Malaria.
Hello everyone, my name is Kanta. Although I am completely cured as of this recording, I contracted amoebic dysentery on the very day I left the DRC. Have you ever heard of amoebic dysentery? After 10 days of reporting in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, I left Eastern Congo and returned to my base in the Republic of Burundi via the neighboring Republic of Rwanda. However, the 9-hour trip from Congo to Burundi was really tough. Intense stomach pain, nausea, vomiting, and high fever. Upon arrival in Burundi, I was examined at a large hospital and diagnosed with amoebic dysentery. Amoebic dysentery is a disease that is rarely seen in Japan, where I live, but is found all over the world, especially in developing countries with poor sanitation. Approximately 100,000 people die each year from this infectious disease. Since the incubation period of amoebic dysentery is generally 2 to 3 weeks, it seems that I was probably infected with the pathogen in Uganda, where I was staying before entering the Congo, and was able to maintain my health condition during my stay in the Congo because of the tension I felt. However, the moment I left Congo and was released from detention, I seemed to have developed the disease. Fortunately, after a few days of taking the antibiotics that the hospital gave me, I was cured of my illness. However, every time I get this kind of disease in Africa, I feel that I was saved because I'm a foreigner. Medicines for amoebic dysentery and malaria can be purchased for a few dollars. For a Japanese like me, they are inexpensive. Moreover, I have travel insurance, so I don't have to pay for it myself. But there are many people living in poverty in Africa who die of amoebic dysentery or malaria because they cannot afford to pay those few dollars. Because I experienced the pain of the disease with my own body, I can say, people in Africa may be in despair because they have suffered so much and cannot pay just a few dollars. And I can imagine the situation of people living in Africa a little more realistically. My experience with amoebic dysentery made me think of this. This time, I will be showing footage I shot in Congo in the background as I talk about what I felt and learned while covering Congo, and what I would like to share with you, the viewers, right now. You can listen to me as if you were listening to the radio. I hope you will listen to the end. There are many things I would like to talk about, but I don't want to make it too long, so let me focus on one theme this time. It is the change in my view of life and death. The eastern part of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which I visited this time, is an area that has been in conflict for 25 years since 1998. It is said that more than 100 armed groups are active there. It is not only the lack of security. Tropical diseases such as malaria, which can be fatal if contracted, are also widespread. Most of the roads are not paved, and traffic conditions are very bad. I once spent several hours traveling along a precipitous road with no guardrails. Compared to Japan, where I live, Congo is a place where death is very close at hand. In fact, there are many people there who have lost their lives due to conflict and disease. It may sound exaggerated, but before I left for Congo, I thought about the possibility of my death. And there were moments during my stay in Congo when I wondered if I should have written my last will and testament 2 or 3 times. Of course, I never intended to die easily, and I did my best to avoid death. However, when I'm working in a place where death is just a hand's reach away and I'm constantly aware of death, the outline of death, which until then was only a concept, gradually becomes clearer. I used to think of death as something that existed somewhere in the distant world, but now I realize that it exists as an extension of my current life, and death has become more realistic. And I came to this important realization. The more concrete the image of death became, the more realistic death became, the more my fear of death gradually eased. At least I think I had less fear of death during my stay in Congo compared to when I was living in Japan. Living in Japan, it is difficult to have a concrete image of death. There is no war going on. And in today's Japan, with its advanced sanitation and medical care, there is little worry that infectious diseases will kill us, as in poor African countries. In such an environment, it is difficult to grasp death as something close to home. A few decades ago, we might have witnessed the passing of an old man or woman at home. In other words, watching them die at home. But today, most people die in hospitals. Life comes to an end someday. I had forgotten this obvious fact because death has become so far removed from Japanese people's lives that it is no longer visible. However, by visiting places where death is close at hand, the more realistic death becomes, the less fearful I became of death. I thought this was like a ghost. In other words, when you don't know what it is, you feel fear. But when you know what it is, the fear lessens. Just because I am talking about this does not mean that I am willing to die, nor does it mean that I have lost my fear of death altogether. However, when I am able to imagine death in concrete terms, I feel a stronger sense of being alive now. In fact, during my stay in Congo, I was always aware of death somewhere in my mind, but at the same time, I had a strong sense of life, as if I were alive right now. Although not much time has passed since I returned from such a harsh environment as the Congo, I would like to return to the Congo someday to report on the situation there. Perhaps it is not only because I have a sense of mission to report on the current situation in Congo, but also because I want to feel that I am actually alive by daring to dive into the harsh environment. There was another incident that made me think about life. In the video, there was a scene where a goat was slaughtered to be eaten for that day's dinner. At that time, I was really impressed by what Shingo Ogawa of Terra Renaissance, who has been working in Congo for 18 years, told me.
People in developed countries such as Japan or the US say it's cruel if they see this situation in Africa. But Japanese people are also taking lives in this way. So sometimes I think, when you start from the slaughtering process, it looks very cruel. But sometimes I wonder which is really cruel. When we are in Africa, we slaughter the animals and receive their lives for our own. But it is the same for Japanese people in developed countries. Here, all the animals killed on the land are eaten or their hair is used without any waste. People here take all the life of the animals. However, we Japanese leave enough leftover food to feed about 10 million people a year. Even meat is left out without a care in the world. We are not usually aware of it, but we are causing a tremendous amount of food loss. When I think about it, I wonder which is really more cruel. Some people call people who live like this in Africa uncivilized, but when I'm over here, they don't do anything wasteful. So sometimes I wonder which is really uncivilized.
My life is supported by the lives of other living creatures. It should be an obvious fact, but living in Japan today, we are rarely aware of it. If you go to a supermarket, you can easily get fillets of meat and fish, but we rarely think about what goes on behind the scenes. The experience of traveling to Congo and slaughtering the goats I eat right in front of me made me realize the obvious fact that my life is supported by the lives of other living creatures. In my YouTube videos, I have focused only on the problems that Africa is facing. However, I believe that there are many things we can learn from the lives of African people. It is true that many people in Congo today are living in hardship due to the conflict. But even under such difficult circumstances, I noticed that the people are rich and have their own happiness, such as singing happily together, playing with garbage as toys, and children having fun with big smiles on their faces. During this visit to Congo, I have made a video to let you know both the good and the bad sides of Congo by telling the local situation as it is. What you learn and think from it is up to you, the viewer of the video. It is not something I impose on you. This has been a grand series of 9 episodes in all, and I have really put a lot of effort into each video. If there is a video you have not seen yet, please watch it. With the support of many people, I have finally been able to complete the Congo reporting series. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of you who have supported me. Thank you very much.